Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Division 2 video. The Pestilence recently received a major buff, making it one of the deadliest weapons within PvP. If you want to be in a dominant position in every firefight you enter, then you need to watch this video. With all that being said, and a satisfying team wipe on screen, why don't we hop right into the build? How about we start things off with the Pestilence? Like I said before, the Pestilence received a massive buff, and that was to the fire rate, which now sits at 935 rounds per minute. Plague of the Outcast is the craziest talent right now. All of the damage that you apply will be dealt to your opponent again over the course of 10 seconds. This goes up to a cap of 50 hits, but once your target dies, all of the stacks are transferred to the nearest enemy within 25 meters. That 935 RPM equates to about 15.6 rounds per second. The easiest way to think about this is the fire rate increases as you hit somebody. This is purely mathematically speaking, of course. Every 10 shots you land is equal to 1 round per second. This means that 50 stacks is equal to a 30% rate of fire increase. The vial is definitely one of the most important pieces of this build. Using the talent Toxic Delivery, we do 50% of our concussion grenades damage to anybody we apply a status effect to. Pestilence talent does not count as a status effect. That means the Pestilence cannot trigger the vial's talent. We have the perfect workaround for that. Introducing the Cherished. This named chess piece gives you the talent Perfect Trauma. If you hit an enemy in the head, it applies Blind. This can happen once every 20 seconds. If you hit somebody in the body, it applies Bleed. The Bleed also has a cooldown of 20 seconds, but it's a separate cooldown from the Blind. Not only does this mean that you can chain status effects, but you can also chain Toxic Delivery. That means that 2 or more of your opponents can simultaneously be taking 50% of your concussion grenade damage. Or it can even make your enemies just run into walls, making it that much easier for you to take them out and get the kills. For the backpack, we're going to be using the Anarchist Cookbook. This is a named backpack that comes with the talent Perfectly Wicked. The only difference between Perfectly Wicked and just normal Wicked is the time the talent lasts. We're applying status effects every time we land shots, so it really doesn't matter how long we have on the talent. The Anarchist Cookbook is perfect for this build because it gives us 10% status effects from the Golem gear and an armor core attribute to work with. What you want to do with this build is maximize your critical hit chance and your critical hit damage. This build is largely revolving around status effects, so I thought it might be a good idea to use One Piece Electrique. One Piece brand set for Electrique gives 10% status effects. You can roll this piece however you want, I just prefer weapon damage. Of course, what you want to do with your secondary attributes is try to get as much critical hit chance and damage as possible. What I'm trying to show you in this video is combining status effects with really strong critical hits just leaves the other team with a bad case of dead. That is why we're going to be running One Piece Seska. We get that now 8% critical hit chance. That's as a result of the One Piece brand set bonus. Last but not least, the gloves. These are the Contractor's gloves, and they are special because they give you an 8% damage to armor bonus. This just so happens to be a Petrov piece, which means we're getting an additional 10% LMG damage from it. This is only the first setup of this build. The other setup I'm about to show you relies on raw DPS instead of adding the status effect damage. So you can run it like this, or you can use 2-piece Providence. Like I said before, both setups work extremely well for PvP, and if you get your positioning right, you'll be able to clean up full teams with both setups. Just make sure you're keeping that crit chance high and that critical hit damage even higher. Having a high critical hit chance and damage is exactly why I chose 2-piece Providence. We have 13% headshot damage as our first brand set bonus, and 8% critical hit chance as our second 2-piece bonus. With this extra 8% crit chance, I was able to slip in a 12% critical hit damage mod instead of a crit chance mod. Skills are the right place to start when you want to complement your build. These skills include variants of the Sticky Bomb, the Firefly Drone, the Seeker Mine, the Chem Launcher, the Trap, the Pulse, the Hive, and even the Turret. We're going to want to use the Demolitionist specialization for this build, and that's because of the 3 important talents. First, we have Brace for Impact. This allows us to ignore 1 explosion every 60 seconds. Next is our Demolitionist Tactical Link. This gives our group members 5% damage to targets out of cover. This does not apply to ourselves. And finally, Explosive Ordinance. Explosives Ordinance gives us 10% grenade damage, which will in turn make our vial do more damage when that talent is triggered. Here's just a quick glance at the more status effect and armor side of the build. When selecting a secondary for this build, I would definitely go with something that has Sadist on it. Bleed is likely to be the most common across all the status effects among skills. And now looking at the stats to that build setup, we need to remember that the Shade Watch does not count at all in conflict. Use these stats as a tool to make sure your build is set up similar to this one. This is the full setup for the DPS alternative to the previously shown build. Again, that's just 2 pieces of Providence. And here are the stats for that DPS alternative. Now remember, your stats could be higher than this, my pieces aren't perfect. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I apologize sincerely for not being consistent with my uploads. I'm trying to find a way to be better about that while attending college, going to work, and now making YouTube content. Like always, please let me know what I can do better down in the comments below, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!
Hostile defender drone detected. Serious trauma detected. Immediate medical assistance needed. Agent out of function.